Hello friends, and welcome to another video from Carolina's Cottage. This is Johnny, and today I have some really cute black and white decor items to show you. With these items, I'm returning to a black and white theme that I haven't used in a while, but it's still fitting for French country, English country, modern farmhouse, and cottage style decorating. All of these items were thrifted and outdated. Here's the first one, a small mirror that I applied a primer coat to and 3 coats of paint. This is Paint Couture's chalk style paint in the color Farmhouse Linen. It required 3 coats to completely cover the dark colors. I used molds and air dry clay to embellish this mirror. I chose Prima Redesign's Divine Floral mold and part of the sheep from the IOD Village Market mold. I also used Jovi air dry clay that I purchased on Amazon. You'll notice with several of these castings, I did have some problems with cracking and breaking. This air dry clay had been open for a while. I've used it several times and I still have half of the package left, so I'm just dealing with the little bit of dryness with this. I do try to keep these closed up and inside Ziploc bags after I've opened them, so that does help. This is pretty easy to repair with the use of the glue and the way I'm placing them onto the piece. I'll just go back once I get them situated, put a coat of chalk paint on top of them to help reduce the cracking as they dry. You will want to make sure that these are making contact throughout the entire casting, and then also check the edges to make sure there's no curling up or separation as they dry. Experiment with molds and create what seems to fit the piece or what seems to create a certain look. For this piece, I wanted a good amount of flourishes and detail. I find that I like a combination of roses and flourishes for most of my pieces. This has been a little bit hard to find, so I usually create my own design that includes pieces from different molds. I love the way curvy, detailed castings create a soft, rich look, and I prefer not to add darker details like antiquing gel or wax. Although I do add those things to some of my pieces, I prefer the milky, creamy look that only shades of white can create. I steer away from a bright white for most pieces, and I prefer the creamier ivory shades like linen and buttercream. It took a bit of thought to figure out what I wanted to put in the middle of this mirror that I painted over. I at first thought I was going to put a little floral mold or a little floral casting there, but then I decided it was more fitting to put just the sheep's head from the Village Market set of IOD molds. So that's what I decided to do here. And this is when I added the additional floral sections to help fill this in. And I gave it a good coat of chalk paint to help prevent cracking as the clay dries. Next, I painted the face of the sheep, and I kept it simple to help it tie into the black and white theme for this video. It took me a few tries to get just the right brush for this part, but I finally got it. I want you to see how simple this is and that it's totally something you can do yourself. Painting details on a piece is simple and something you can practice and improve on over time if you haven't done much of this. Remember that the easy fix for anything you're not happy with is a little chalk paint. I remember Mary from White Cottage Company having a t-shirt with the words, "With paint, all things are possible." Now, we know Mary is a Christian, but that was a very cute take on scripture. But just keep in mind that whatever you think you mess up can be fixed or changed with a little bit of chalk paint. I decided to use some of the wood stamps that I have to embellish the corners of this frame just to bring out that black and white theme a little bit more. And I believe this stamp is still available at Hobby Lobby, but I had thrifted this one a couple years ago. And you'll see on this one I just completed in the upper right hand corner, I did not get the stamp situated level or evenly, and so it didn't really catch the end of that design. But you know, just do the best you can to correct it. Nobody's going to notice. Again, these are handmade pieces, so we expect it to be a little perfectly imperfect. The next piece was one of 3 identical items I found at Goodwill. I'll make over just one today and save the others for a future project. This piece is made from a wood product, and after 2 coats of chalk paint, I'm going to be adding a casting from part of the royalty mold from Prima Redesign. And I lost the small part of the top of this when I released it from the mold. Probably because I haven't been putting cornstarch in these molds. I felt like I was putting maybe too much in these molds for a while, and it was sort of caking up in my castings after I released them. But this is easy to fix with glue, so I was able to salvage that. My little touch of black for this piece is going to be a small wood stamp, and it's going to take a little bit of thought and a little creativity to make this work, because as you know, if you've used wood stamps before, they're not flexible at all. So I used painter's tape to help keep the 2 lines of text separate. I inked each individual line of text, then removed the painter's tape, leaving just the text I wanted to stamp. Hopefully this will make sense as you watch how I did that. Okay, I've put the painter's tape on, covering the 2nd line of text. Now I've inked the stamp, I've removed the painter's tape, and I can apply the top line of text to the plate. Now I'll do the same thing for the 2nd line of text, just covering the top line this time. And I'll tell you what saved my bacon on this one. If I had messed this up, I already had a clear coat on it, so all I would have had to do is use a wet wipe to wipe this off. But now I'm going to let it dry overnight, and I will put another coat of clear coat over where I've stamped this. We had a little excitement around our house this week. Bear usually likes to supervise my videos, but we spent a little time at the vet this week. Here he is hiding under their blanket, waiting for his sedation to work. After a couple of injections for a nasty cat bite, he is back home and doing well, minus a little hair. Hopefully he'll be back to supervising my videos pretty soon. The next project for our black and white theme is a silver colored decorative piece with lots of detail. There were several scratches around the center of this piece, so I knew it would have to be painted, but I wanted to leave the silver colored detail if I could. I applied primer first and then 2 coats of chalk style paint from Paint Couture. I used a portion of a rose from this IOD stamp set. Use one hand to stabilize the stamp and use the other hand to touch every area on the stamp to make sure that it makes contact with the piece you're stamping. This is especially important on a curved piece. This is my favorite stamp ever, and I use this one a lot. It just has such great lines. It's very clean and crisp. I did cut this apart from the stem that it's attached to in the set, but this is the way I use it, so this works for me. The last piece is pretty simple and it's just all white. I used a coat of primer on this since it has a glossy surface, and I used 2 coats of Paint Couture's Farmhouse Linen Chalk Style paint. I will list supplies in the description below the video and a link for Paint Couture products for 10% off. I used air dry clay and a mold I found on Amazon for the Cottage roses on this piece. It's one of my favorite molds to use. And again, any breakage I have with the clay can be repaired by using glue and repositioning the clay to fit. I'll paint the clay with chalk paint to reduce cracking while it dries. Whether you are new to this channel or returning, thank you so much for watching today. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I would appreciate your comments below, and I will see you in the next video.